Today we're going to review a hip thrust. Hip thrust might be one of the best exercises to activate, build strength, build size in your glute muscles. So let's make sure we know how to do that correctly. Now we're going to get set up using a bench. So be this at the gym or at home, you're going to try to find something similar height to about your tibia, this lower leg. Now we're about to put our back against that. I'm going to be showing you from a side profile angle. And when we're in that angle, we want to make sure that we have the hips just slightly wider than hip width, and we want to have our feet turned out about 15 degrees. By doing that, we're going to be able to better engage this glute muscle. Now, we also want to set ourselves up in a way that we're feeling supported on the back. You might need to put this up against a wall if you feel like there's some movement. And you also want to ensure that at the very top range of your hip thrust, you have about a 90-degree angle between your tibia and your femur. Okay, so first let's demonstrate this without any weight, just body weight, which will be great for most of us to start with. Now, as we go through a hip thrust too, we want to make sure that our neck is in a nice neutral position, we're bracing our core, just so we don't injure anything else, but the primary focus is going to be on our glutes. So first off, body weight, we're just leaning back against the bench. In order for me to get myself into this position, I'm going to lean back. I'm going to try to find about that proper distance where my feet are slightly wider than the hips. My toes are turned out about 15 degrees. Now from the bottom part here, I'm going to start to contract my glutes right off the bat. Contract, 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 contract. At the very top, I want to actually tilt the pelvis slightly backwards and contract a little bit more. Now you see as I'm doing this, my head is facing forward, my eyes are facing forward, not up. Come back down. All the way down. Make sure when we come back up, get the glutes, tuck the pelvis, and fire the glutes at the very end. That last couple of inches is typically the most critical part of this movement where most people stop. Okay, so if you want that full glute exposure, make sure you get to the very top range, tuck the pelvis slightly to allow you to fire those glutes more while flattening out the lower back. Now, this can be done with weight, so I'll demonstrate here with a barbell. Now, if you utilize a barbell, make sure you protect your hips. You might have a pad or just wrap a towel around that area. Otherwise, the premise is still the exact same. So we're going to get this set up so we're nice and even, bars in the middle, pads in the middle of me, so that way I can go upwards, get myself set up. Start off with a nice light weight where you can actually play around with it. Okay, get my legs straight. Now I'm going to take them out a little bit, toes out, start down the bottom, thrust up, tuck the pelvis, take that last little movement, and back down, keeping my gaze in front of me. Now, if you don't have a barbell, you can also, of course, utilize a dumbbell, a kettlebell, any sort of a weight you might want to utilize in the exact same position. Now, another version of this can be a single leg. For the single leg, the setup is the exact same. So, we get ourselves set up with our back. We grab the weight. We're going to put it right in the midline, not on one hip or the other, but rather the midline. For this, our feet are going to be narrow together, so you get a better state of support. I am going to straighten out my right leg. I'm going to start down at the bottom and then go up. Same thing, thrusting at the top. Bringing it down and up. All this movement comes from the hip, as you can see, and at the very top, we're trying to get ourselves to a 90-degree angle. You might have to play with that a little bit to find the right angle for you, but doing this correctly, you're going to feel a great muscle activation and a burn through your glutes. Now, the goal with this is technical failure. So, typically speaking, if you can get to 10 reps, you should be burning out at that point when we're looking for technical failure. So play around with the weight, play around with the tempo, so that way when you hit 10 reps, you're feeling like good to go. Now let's say you're doing this exercise and you just can't feel your glutes at all. Well, we can do a variation called a KAS. So that's K-A-S. This one, we're gonna hang out more the top range only. So similar setup to before. Now what I'm gonna do is keep my torso upright, right where the bench and my back meet. That part of my spine upwards, I'm going to try to not move at all. All the movement comes from my sternum down. I'm staying in the top range here, okay? So Same setup as I did with my double leg. We're gonna come down slightly and then up. Slightly down and up. So with this cast modification, you can see I'm only focusing on the top part. I'm not worrying about the rest of the range right now. This is gonna help me actually feel these glute muscles engage a lot better. Hope you enjoy this. Have fun.